Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is GBall, and I have an exciting knife here to share with you coming in from Remette. This is their newest release, and a lot of people are awaiting this drop. Now, if you've never stopped by here before, welcome to GBall Vision. Let me know down in the comments what your EDC is looking like today. Feel free to let me know the entire loadout. I love to see it. Now, the star of the show is going to be the Orca, and I will have to say this knife is going to have to be excellent to take my primary EDC out of my pocket, which is the Remette Steed. I've been using this thing non-stop for several weeks, and prior to that, I carried the Remette Scepter for months and months. I've actually been on a crazy Remette kick here, probably about the last 6 months or so, and the Orca might be filling in or taking another place in my pocket for an EDC. The Orca is going to come in like 6 or 7 different versions. You'll be able to pick them up on Remette's website, Blade HQ, and a plethora of other retailers, and they're going to be bringing the heat. You have a titanium handle and then a beautiful carbon fiber inlay, titanium backspacer, hidden lanyard post back here, and then a milled tie clip. It is a single Torx, and it is going to be recessed there into that inlay. This is going to be a bolster lock, but not just a bolster lock, a button operated bolster lock, and that is a beautiful thing. Cutout and front flipper for the deployment. What that means is you'll be able to disengage the blade with the button or the frame itself, and as many of you know, that is my favorite locking system in 2026. The button operated frame lock is my go-to. It is just, I don't know what to say, but it's the one that draws me the most to it, and it's the type of knives I find myself carrying time and time again, and Remette does a stellar job with it. I'm a big fan of button operated liner locks with access as well. Those are my top two, and that's just what I've been carrying a lot of lately. Now, I do like how tall this blade is, and I can tell you right away, just from all my experience with the Steed, that the Orca is actually going to have a taller blade, and we'll see if that matters when it comes to how it cuts through various material. We'll get a little taste of that today. The other thing I was kind of wanting to note on the Orca versus the Steed, because at the time of filming this, the Steed is still widely available as well. The Scepter, that might be a different story. That one might be hard to get at this point in time, but I am a tremendous fan of these elongated thumb studs like this. They work beautifully, and with a nice strong detent like this has, it is just a masterful recipe. Not only is the action and everything very enjoyable, the acoustics are insane on this knife. So just a very, very big fan of the Steed. Now, this is going to be a cutout and front flipper, which is another one of my favorite combos. That is one thing I will say about the Steed. I wish it had a front flipper or something like that, like a secondary deployment, because a front flipper would have been a really nice touch on the Steed here. Now, with that being said, this has a full-length backspacer. This is only going to have a quarter-length backspacer. So, what is it that I want more? Do I want that secondary deployment, or do I want better ergonomics in a lot of cases? You know, a closed spine is going to be more comfortable than an open spine. That's just the way that it goes. Now, does that mean it's going to hurt your little patties or be uncomfortable because this is open? No, that doesn't mean that at all. I'm just a big fan of full-length backspacers. So with that being said, I wish this had a secondary means of deployment, but because it has dual thumb studs, I am mainly fine with that because I get this full-length backspacer. So this makes a very solid platform for an EDC. Yeah, a little bit pricier, but you're getting an awesome experience with some of these knives. Not only are you getting a great knife and great materials, but you're just getting an awesome experience. Talk about having something to do all day long throughout the day. You can get this bad boy out, flick it around, and cut some stuff up while you're doing it. It's just an awesome thing. It looks like they attempted to keep this pretty thin. Let's get a look at the size of this guy, and then we'll do some comparisons. As far as our overall length goes, we're going to be looking at 7 3/4 strong. We have 3 3/16 of cutting edge, and we'll give it 3.5, maybe 3.6 of total blade. For some comparison knives, we have the Spyderco Para 3 up top and the Paramilitary 2 on the bottom. And you'll see it sits in between both of those. It's a little closer to the Para 3. Two more, we have the Vosteed Thunderbird and the Kaiser Warning. And one interesting note is the Warning is almost exactly the same length, but you're actually going to get about 0.2, 0.3 more cutting edge on something like the Orca, and you're going to have great ergonomics even still with something like the Orca. And two more, we have that Remette Steed I've been showing off the entire video, and the Remette Scepter down here on the bottom. I understand that the Scepter design and the materials are a little loud, but that's what really draws me to it because it is so different. I literally had to pry this thing out of my pocket. Like, it's time to put this down for a little bit and move on to some other stuff, because stuff that is this good is a bad thing for me, because it's hard to move on to other stuff. But I did, and I was able to move on to the Remette Steed here up top. And talk about two stellar knives back to back, three stellar knives back to back to back that are just different in all sorts of ways, but excellent as well. Man, just an awesome setup when it comes to Remette's new catalog. And the Steed and the Orca, they're going to be pretty close in size. Now, we always check every pocket clip with our GBall Vision Hank from 50 Ways. I like that little off angle there to the tip. It'll help get this over your pants pocket nice and easy. And then that is going to look really, really good in the pocket. You'll have about a 1/2 inch poking out at the tallest part here at the peak. And that's going to give you a nice bit of knife to grab a hold of and retrieve this out of the pocket. Retention is good to go. A nice little click. Plenty of clearance under there. And the retention is not going to be too much. I think it's going to be just right, maybe on the stronger side, but not overly strong. It is going to be right hand carry only. That stinks for our lefty brothers and sisters out there, but that's just the way that it goes sometimes. We'll get the arch nemesis out here and give the Orca a weight check. Now, I like to play a little game here on the channel. With the new knives that come in, I attempt to guess the weight, and I always invite you to play along. You can put your guess down in the comments. Go ounces or grams, whichever you prefer. Even if you already have a comment or two down there, go ahead and put your guess. And if you're enjoying this video, you like knives and EDC gear, hit that subscribe button and stab the bell. That way you never miss another video. I'm going to give this a go here and see if we can get dialed in. The last couple of videos, I haven't done so well, like 0.4, 0.5 off. I don't consider that to be too good. Let's see if we can get dialed in here. Remember, about 3.5 inches of blade, titanium, but a huge cutout here in that titanium on both sides for that carbon fiber inlay. I'm going to bet this is like right at a 3.5? 3.6? That's what it feels like. Let's lock in 3.6. You put your guess down in the comments. Here we go. 3.6. Lock me in. Oh, damn. Wait. What happened here? What's going on? Okay, 3.9. I was tripping a little bit. All right. So 3.9, I'm 0.3 off. For those of you driving, 3.9 ounces, 110 grams. I'll take that. Uh, 0.3, that's acceptable. Like, pretty, 0.2 would be better, but I'll take 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 off. Just not a good look. But hey, let's all be honest here. We're all going to have our days when we do really, really good and days when we just don't do that well at all. Now, the days where I don't do that well at all are very limited. I do still have them. Just kidding. Most days, it's, We're going to get the calipers out here, which is a measuring device for our pocket knives here. And we're going to start off with measuring the handle thickness. And that is going to be 0.48. I consider 0.5 a good starting point. If you have a little bit larger hands, 0.5 and above is what I typically look to. This is venturing on 0.5. So, I know people with huge hands won't appreciate that, but it just is. 3 millimeters, 3.1 millimeters on the blade stock, 124 thousandths. So not overly thick and not overly thin. I'd say that's a good blade stock. Now it does thin out here quite a bit going to the tip, 93 thousandths out there on that swedge. Let's go ahead and get a look here at our BTE. That is the behind the edge measurement, and we get as close fair as possible. And right there is going to be coming in 14 thousandths behind the edge, directly behind the edge, 14 thousandths. So they definitely made an attempt to come down nice and thin on this guy. Let's see how it cuts out of the box. We'll kick it off with a piece of notebook paper here. Drop point going to be nice and pokey, and it'll be one hell of a slicer. And I think with all the chaos around us here doing this video on this knife, we didn't even talk about the steel that is being used. I'm sure there's a possibility of somebody all writing a nasty comment on how I didn't even talk about what steel it is that is on the knife within the first few minutes of the video. And I really, truly apologize to you, but it is M390. That is typically what we see from Remette. And they do a pretty good job with their M390. I think I've seen that they typically are hitting like a 60, 61 HRC. So that's where I want a production knife to be, is above 60. I know that with some of their coated stuff that you can see like 59s, and I know I don't prefer that, and some of you don't either. And then I also know there's a big group of people who really don't care about that. If they like the design, they're going to pick it up either way. And I fully understand that type of logic, because that is the type of logic I used to go by, and I still do in a way. We'll grab some 550 paracord here for the crybabies who want to see other stuff cut than just paper. I think this is going to do beautiful work with paracord, rope, stuff like that. You have that nice little belly there. It is really sharp. Let's move back here to this straight run. I'm not even barely going to put anything on it. I'm actually just going to pull the paracord, and that cut it no problemo. Now on a flat surface, you have that belly, so that's going to be nice to do kind of some press cuts, depending on the material, of course, but this will work pretty good for stuff like that. That belly is going to come in nice and handy. If you have a little bit longer slicing to do, longer cuts, that straight edge will work very nice. And then you do have that pokey tip. It's not insanely pokey, but that'll still get the job done. And for the tactical folks out there who think everything needs to be a dagger or something like that, this will still poke and pierce, no problem. You might be saying, well, how do you really know that? And I'm going to just go out on a limb and say, unless you're built like a 12-year-old schoolgirl, this will be plenty of a point to jam this into various soft and semi-hard surfaces. As you can see with this cardboard here, I'm not even doing anything, and this thing is just piercing right in. So, on something much softer, it is going to go right in. As far as how does it cut the cardboard, I would say that it is pretty easy going. Are you someone who, wants to go out in your mom's garage and cut 1,000 miles of cardboard and sharpen this 15 times in the first week that you have it? Might not be a bad option for something like that, actually. Maybe not 1,000 miles or 50 sharpenings, but you guys know what I'm talking about. I think this would be an awesome EDC knife. Now, here's the kicker with some of these various Remettes. They're going to come in at a healthy $285. So it's not like this is just some El Cheapo budget knife. This comes with a pretty fair price tag. But I will say that's a healthy price tag, and there's no denying that. There's no debating it. We'll get the off-grid driver out here and look at the hardware. We have T8s there, non-tooled pivot with their logo, clean show side. Everything looks really good. T8 there on the pivot, and then it looks like T8 on the pocket clip. Yes, it is. So excellent job, T8s all the way around. The one thing I will say about Remette and pricing in general is that there's two companies where I feel like I'm really getting my money's worth out of the knife, and Remette and Katuo. I feel like they really bring the heat. Katuo in all kinds of various ways, the machining, the fit, and the finish, that side of things. Remette also is going to fall in that department. The fit and the finish, the quality, the attention to detail, something I really appreciate. They do a superb job at that. This is perfectly centered up. I would say on a scale of bad to insanely good, the detent on this is insanely good. Nice and strong. Reverse flick is going to be absolute killer for you. The front flipper works good. You have this little kind of cant inward, and then it flares back out, and that is excellent to basically cup your thumb for the thumb rollover, for your index finger, for like an index rollover. That's just the way I like to see them right there. And that's another part of that attention to detail. They could have easily just come straight up. A lot of companies will do that, and that does work as well. But this works just a little bit better. We found that with something like the Griffin. That little cant inward and then back out, it just tends to work really, really well. There's another example of that. I think that's an excellent detail. A lot of things get overlooked like that, and Remette hones in on that type of stuff. All the checks look really good that we've gone over, perfectly centered. Detent is superb. The disengagement methods are done really well. Chamfered there, easy to get to, disengage. Let's go ahead and introduce the Orca to old SW. And for those of you who are new here, no, that is not a president. That is our resident spine whacker here. We're going to give this a couple of taps just to make sure we have a healthy locking folding knife. They are supposed to hold up if they meet a little adversity, and that is my job here, to make sure they stay locked up under a little bit of adversity. I don't feel any movement up or down, side to side. It actually feels really, really good. The lockup is about 30%, I will say, and that's fairly early, but we've had knives that were locked up like tanks with 30% lockup. We're going to start out towards the tip here, and we're going to give this a light tap just to get going, and we'll see what happens from there. Light tap out towards the tip, and sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good. Yeah, it sounds good. We're going to do a medium tap here in the middle. And we're not doing this to see if you can hammer a nail into a tree or build your house or anything like that. Just making sure that that lock has a good connection. No, this is not a scientific test. And no, I don't actually mean a connection. I just mean that they meet up properly. The lock face geometry is the way that it should be. And I trust Remette to do a solid job, no doubt about it. And a nice little double tap there. And some of you may have never seen a Remette before. We'll do a couple extra demonstrations. I don't typically go past a first double tap, but we'll do a couple just because I know that they do a superb job when it comes to their lockup. Their QC is excellent. They're one of the companies who just does a stellar job design in and design out. They're really doing all the right things. There's one thing that I wish Remette would start doing immediately, and that is using various steels. Now, if they are giving us superb heat treat on the M390, that's, you know, I wish they would specialize in like 2 or 3 steels, premium steels, you know, call it M390, maybe M4, and something else, whatever you want to say. And just stick with those 3 and hit the proper heat treatment on those 3 and keep putting designs out like this. Rotate the steels around, you know, variety. Maybe S90, M390, and M4, or Crewwear, something like that. And just nail the heat treat on them and put stuff like this out, and they're going to continue to sell out. At this point in time, Remette has no trouble selling these knives out in a day sometimes. Like the Scepter, that was sold out within 24 hours. Not as many designs, but that's quick for a full production type knife. And the Steed was really hard to get initially, back in stock now. So, and I think there's a couple Orcas that are actually out of stock also. A couple of different versions. They go quick. They are a fan favorite. When it comes to that more premium end, you know, $300, premium end of foreign production knives, I think Remette is the top tier. You know, if we're going to say $300 and under, they just routinely do a superb job. One of my you know, them and Katuo, they have become 2 of my favorite companies. And as I said before about both of them, when they have a new design coming or it's out, I look forward most, you know, to those 2. There's a few others, but when I hear they have something coming, I'm really stoked about it, you know, because they always bring the heat. Let me know what you think of the Orca down in the comments. Let me know what you think of the Steed, and you can let me know what you think of the Scepter. What is the last Remette you picked up, if any? And do you plan on picking up any Remettes in the future? Let me know all of that and more down in the comments. I'll have a link over to the Orca and the Steed down in the description. I'll put a link to the Scepter just in the off chance you're watching this in the future and they are back in stock. If I can link to the Scepter, I'll have that down in the description and pin comment. Do me a solid and hit the thumbs up button. And if you never want to miss another video, hit the subscribe button and stab the bell. I'll have a couple of videos popping up on your screen that you haven't seen yet. Go check one of them out. Have yourself an awesome day. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.